Good morning and welcome back. I guess you might not be listening to it in the morning, but I'm recording it in the morning on a Saturday morning. Got the whole house to myself. I hadn't intended on taking almost a full month in between episodes, but I got sick towards the end of December and cough that wouldn't quit. And it would have been nearly impossible to record one and get through it without coughing uncontrollably, and that would have been fun to try to edit. So here I am on the 6th of January posting another one. So hopefully you had a Merry Christmas and your new year is off to a terrific start. This episode's another one that would have been a blog post. It was started on January 30th, actually, of 2018. So sometimes when I look back at those, I wonder, I don't know what I was going through at the time that made me decide to start writing that at the moment. What would have inspired that to be something that I was wanting to write about. And I had a conversation the other night after practice with a friend about, we were talking education and coaching and things like that. And while we were having the conversation, it came into my head what this podcast episode is going to be about, and what at this blog post that I'm taking some of this from was intended to be. The point that I made was we were talking about kids and parents and how parents and home lives and situations play into how someone plays basketball, volleyball, softball, baseball, whatever. Also how whether they do or don't, how their ability to succeed in school happens. Well, when I started writing this post that I'm talking about today, I titled it, and as you can see on the thumbnail, "The Icing on the Cake." And during that period of time, I was thinking about how my sister and I had the best parents, and I've said that over, on Facebook many times and other places. Our parents were the best in terms of they gave us everything we needed, whether it was roof over our head, heat, food. We never wanted for much of anything. I guess you could say we were spoiled at times. I mean, I was thinking as we unwrapped presents here at my house and stacks of presents in front of three 20-year-old kids, 20-plus-year-old kids. It was the same way when my sister and I were little. We did pretty well at Christmas, and there's, many pictures in an album of, we had a great life, and it's not because of your presents. Like I said, it's the other things. And then as we got older, you realize how they gave you such a great foundation. They believed in us. We never had to worry about whether they loved us or cared about us. Never had to worry about, our lives were exactly what you would want them to be. Our parents were terrific. So if you think of that in terms of a cake, and this, if you're listening to this and you don't know me very well, or you do, I know it's going to sound a little goofy, I guess, if you really pick at it, but our parents baked us the best cake you could have, and it had nothing extra on it. Like, they set the foundation for what our lives are, both of us, and it didn't need some fancy frosting. It didn't need sprinkles. It didn't need a cherry on top if you wanted to say it was a sundae or something. It didn't need the extra, because it was good enough on its own. And it's funny because I saw this recipe the other day that I had bookmarked in one of the places that I bookmark stuff, and it was for this Butterfinger cake. And again, what tangent are you going off on now, Anthony? But this cake is, it's a chocolate cake, and after you baked it, you poke holes in it, and then you pour the caramel sauce on it, and it gets down in the cake, and then you cover the cake with probably Cool Whip or some kind of topping. It's not really frosting that way. And then you crumble up Butterfinger candy bars and put it all over the top of it. And it looks amazing. And I I think of that. I thought of that recipe because that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's funny that I saw that in this same time frame that I was talking to this person the other night. That cake to me looks amazing. But like I said, the one that my parents gave me and my sister was fine as is. It didn't need the caramel. It didn't need the whipped topping. It didn't need the candy bar crushed on top of it. We had it just enough to be perfect and get us where we needed to go. So now the icing part of it. The blog post has a photo on it. There's like one paragraph written. That's it. But it had a header photo of VIT High School where we both graduated from high school. And this post was supposed to be how we had this perfect cake baked by our parents, these lives that we were put into a position where if we didn't make it, if we failed, if we screwed this up, it wasn't going to be because we weren't given the opportunity by our parents to succeed. We were set up. Then we both got to go to a school that had numerous teachers who added on to what we already got. They were perfect. They were the best. And they helped us be even better than that foundation, that cake that our mother and father had given us. We had, and my sister's a teacher. She's taught at the university level. She teaches high school now. She had teaching role models that were the icing on the cake that her parents gave her. And I'm the same way. There were teachers at that school who are the foundation, who didn't have to be the foundation of what I am. They just added on to what I already was given. And how blessed were we both to have that? I mean, I can think of 7, 8 people that I had at VIT elementary school and high school who I still today, at 52 years old, don't want to let them down based on the example that they set for me. And again, I didn't need them to be so terrific. They were extra. They were the icing. They were the sprinkles. They were the candy bar on top of what already, it was just extra. It had to be where my parents thought, I'm so glad that my son and daughter get to go have this teacher or that teacher or have this coach. That is just reinforcing everything that I was already trying to accomplish. And again, if we had teachers that were just, it wouldn't have mattered. We still would have made it. It still would have been on us if we would have not made good choices and whatever. But we had extra. We had that icing on the cake. A good friend of mine from high school posted last week or between Christmas and New Year's that she had got a Christmas card, and she gets one every year from this teacher coach from home that we both had. And the second that I see that my friend typed her name, this teacher's name, it instantly makes me feel great that I knew that person and the impact that that person had on me. And subconsciously, when I do the things and say the things that I do to students or players, it came from that. That teacher was one of the people who helped build that foundation, added on to the foundation that my mother and father gave to me. And that I can't, like I said, even at 52, I read the name of a person that I probably haven't seen in 30 years. It instantly makes me go back and appreciate that person was a part of my life. She was my driver's ed teacher. She taught PE. She was so good to me. And she cared about me. And I it just floods back memories of things that she told me and times that and she was great to everyone. It wasn't just these group of kids or this group of kids. She was great to everyone. She was an example of what a teacher should be. She was icing on the cake that Denny and Michelle Wherley had already made. And in my coaching career and in my education career, that's what I've wanted to be. When someone, I've had such great support in the 21 years I've been here at Illini Central. And when a parent thanks me for this or what I do or whatever, it's especially the ones who have worked very hard to do what my parents did and have built that foundation. I've always wanted, I want to say, it pops into my head, but I want to say I'm just trying to I'm just adding on to what you're already doing. Yesterday, I posted that I saw a student who I really was never her teacher. She grew up in the church that I go to. I've watched her. I mean, I literally watched her go from being carried in a baby carrier into church to watching her walk across the stage at graduation last year. Anyway, I never was her teacher. We just were around each other. And then within the past couple of years have gotten close. And she didn't need me to be the cake. She didn't need her other teachers at Illini Central, her FFA sponsors or whoever. She didn't need them to be the cake. They didn't need to be the people that were the foundation of what she was going to be. She didn't have to go to Champaign and hope she could make it, because the only foundation she really had was the handful of teachers that tried to influence her. They weren't the cake. I wasn't the cake. Bunner wasn't the cake. She'd already had it. It's like she when she first got to, you don't go from little old Mason City with a graduating class of under 30 to the U of I and it not be a little bit of culture shock. Having college roommates, she said yesterday, having college roommates that their graduating class was 600 and 600 kids showed up at Illini Central yesterday, total, if that. So it's going to be an adjustment. So you get there, and then that culture shock, you start to question, I don't know if I belong here. I don't know if I can make it here. The foundation that Ava got was at home. That's where she got it. Her cake was already made, and she was going to make it. There might have been some touch and go moments whether she believed that, but she was going to make it. But the nice thing is she also had the icing on the cake that were many people that I work with that have helped build that and made it in a way harder to go away, because it was so special and what you would want it to be here in high school and where she grew up. If I have an opportunity if I was any kind of icing on that cake, then I win. And not only did I win, the people who were the icing and the sprinkles on my cake, I didn't let them down. I was able to continue what I was already taught. It's I'm not the big on the whole whatever, pass it forward, whatever. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's not that. It's that those people did it for me. I got to do it for somebody else. I got to make sure pay it forward. There you go. It took me, a minute. It was never about that. It was that I needed to not let down the people who showed me, if I'm going to be a teacher, be one like what you were taught. Be like what you were shown how to do it. And it was great yesterday to see Ava, and it even reinforced the need to do this episode next. Because I'm going to be honest, and you run into kids at times through 30 years of coaching and 21 years of being in this actual school that, sometimes you're a little bit of the cake. And most teachers and coaches, that truly care know that. Sometimes sometimes you got to be a little bit of the cake. Sometimes the cake wasn't baked right, and you got to find a way to you have to come through for that person in a different way than I have to for the person that I'm just being the sprinkles. And that's hard. And if your children, again, after my last one, when I talked about the greatest, Jim Newell, someone told me, "Oh, you sound kind of preachy." I swear, I try. I guess I am, but I'm not meaning it to be that way. But if your kids, your children have teachers who are being those sprinkles, who are being that frosting, that icing on the cake, if your children have people like that in their life, let them know. Let them know. Because what you don't understand is not only are they being the frosting and sprinkles and the candy bar crumbled on top to your kid, they're having to be some of the cake or maybe the whole cake to somebody else. And the best part is, the great ones that I've known in my life, they don't care. They don't care that they have to do the other. It's harder, but they don't care that they're having to do it. They're still going to do it. When I walk through the grade school and a grade school kid comes up and gives you a hug, hugs your leg, or, grabs you around the waist and you pat him on the back, it always pops into your head, maybe I'm getting that hug because that person's not getting it somewhere else. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. Some kids, the kids that when I coached and the year we won the state championship, it was kind of a ritual thing, on the boys on the way to the bench right before national anthem, give everybody a hug. Those boys didn't need me to give. They all had great families. Not everybody's situation's the same. Not everybody, like I said, has a cake that's perfect by itself. A cake that will be just enough, and then you can go on and do your own things and you can expand. Like I said, my sister and I were blessed that we were already set up to make it. My sister is so successful and so terrific at what she does. And if she wouldn't have been, it would have been on her. And with me, it was exactly the same way. If I would have messed this up, and I kind of did when I went to college the first time, it wasn't because my parents didn't do a good job, and it wasn't because my teachers didn't do a good job. It was on me. And that's what the point is. I had it set up, and a lot of the kids that I work with, they're the same way. They don't need me. They didn't. The kid, Ava Ratliff, I talked to yesterday, she didn't need Mr. Wherley to be who he was. She was going to be just fine. She didn't need Mr. Bunner to tell her yesterday that she was tough. She's always been tough, and you were definitely going to make. She didn't need him to do that because her parents had already done a good job, and her family had already done a good job. But boy, it's sure nice to have that extra, and that cake can be just a little bit better with the right icing, the right frosting, the right sprinkles, or whatever it is. So I guess to end this, if you're one of those families, if you're somebody that's listening to this and you've done a great job and your kids it doesn't matter who the teachers are, you're there, you believe your kids are going to be fine. Don't hesitate to thank those people who are the sprinkles and the frosting and the icing and whatever. And if you're listening to this and maybe you're like, I've struggled sometimes and I haven't maybe been able to be the parent that I wanted to be, even if your kids are my kids' age, where my kids are all 26, 24, and 22. And you did the best you could in the moment with what you had going on and whatever, because that's what this thing is about. It's not about judging anybody. It's about, did you get where they needed to go? And if that teacher or that coach helped them get there even when you might have been struggling. Because I know, having been a parent, I didn't do it. I can tell you for sure right now, completely honestly, I did not do the job that my parents did. I did not. I was not good enough. Now, that doesn't mean my children's cake was awful, but it wasn't as good as the one I was given, I know. And it wouldn't be because of Rhonda, it would be because of me. And I can tell you right now, it's okay, because there were other people in my kids' lives that stepped up and picked up the slack of what their sprinkles, their frosting made my cake that maybe I didn't do a good enough job with. They covered me and they helped out and they filled in where I didn't get it done. So if you have those people, if you know those people at a time, make sure that you let them know. I don't know how, I don't know what you could do, but let those people, even if they're not necessarily someone that works at the school, maybe it's a family friend that's there for your kid. Maybe it's, I don't know, somebody at the church or in a youth group or something like that. It's funny, I do this and I start talking, and then in my brain, my not able to do math brain, but full of memories brain, it pops up that back when we were in Easton in the middle school, we had a principal at a time that would reach out to parents, and we didn't know about it. I'm not quite sure how he would do it, because we had the internet, but it wasn't the same. And then all of a sudden we get a bunch of cards in our mailbox from parents or family members or whoever. And it was thanking us for what we had done. And I saved all of those. And I found them, I don't know if it was last summer or a couple summers ago. And gosh, to hear to go back and read those things that people would say, that's what I'm talking about. It was appreciating the people for being the icing on the cake is what it was. It's exactly what it was. And whether those parents that wrote those nice letters or sent those nice cards, whether they felt like they had done what I told you my mom and dad did, they were still appreciative of the fact that you tried to fill in where maybe they didn't. And that means something. It truly does. So let's see, 23 minutes. That's long. Hopefully you can hang with this. Hopefully this is a good message. Hopefully, it'll make you think about the people who've been able to help your kids out, or maybe the people that helped you out. Like I said, it's not me. When my friend posted about that Christmas card, it makes me think about how great the frosting, icing, and sprinkles were on my cake, and how I was so blessed to have those people in my life as well. Like I said, it's Saturday morning, so if you're listening to this today, have a great weekend. If you're listening to it whenever, I hope life is the best. And don't forget, I say it all the time, and like I was saying at work, school got started off on a rough note with some technology issues this week, and my back still hurts, and coming off of being sick and this and that and the other thing. I'm telling you, life is still good. Take care.